This is the Prudential Center Boston Microsoft Store. Hello to everybody out there. How's it going? This is the second store stop that we have made. We made one in, what was it, Frisco, Dallas? What do you want to call it? Frisco, right? It was, a month ago? It's been about a month.
About a month, 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks.
Okay. And that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So we've been here for a little over an hour. Hayden's like, yeah, it was Frisco, Jason. So we're out here doing another one of these, coming to talk to some more insiders, hanging out, having a little bit of fun. We got a special guest lurking over in the corner who's finishing up some pizza right now, so I'm not going to put him on camera yet. But again, it's another chance to come out, hang out with some insiders, have a little fun, do some Q&A, just get some FaceTime, because it's nice not being in Redmond every day that we have to work. It's nice coming out and doing some fun stuff like this.
Yep.
I don't know, Brandon, thoughts?
Nope, you said it.
This is where you're supposed to monologue, so I don't have to. What do you think of Boston so far?
I'm enjoying Boston very much, being that I'm big on history. So seeing the USS Constitution was freaking awesome. And then Jason, bless his heart, he took me to go visit where I was first born, the house I first grew up in, and then the hospital I was born in. And then he promptly won $100. And so I was, pleased with that for him.
And for the record, Brandon was born in the middle of nowhere, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the name of the town. But
Nashua.
It had Nashua? Is that what? Nashua. Okay, so apparently Brandon was born in Nashua, New Hampshire. So now anybody that needs to who's trying to hack him and needs like some personal identification of where he was born in Nashua.
I never use it for any of that, so go for it. But
it will not work.
It's beautiful. It's been beautiful. Just the city is beautiful. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So
it just is a completely random aside that has nothing to do with the Insider program. Boston is massively different than Frisco. Or even just if you want to step outside of Frisco and go to the whole Dallas metro, you can't compare the two cities. They're a completely different feel, different types of people, different personalities, different way of doing things. The driving in Boston is a whole lot of fun. I will tell you, you get on some back roads and it's great, but driving in the city, pedestrians, they don't care if the hands are red or if there's 10 seconds left. They're just like, nah, I'm going. That's cool. You're not going to hit me. I almost made one lady cry today, but I'm not going to talk about that on camera other than just saying that it happened.
I witnessed it. It was I want to say it's glorious, but
I felt bad, so.
The other thing we can probably mention is that the Bug Bash began yesterday.
Yes, the Bug Bash did begin yesterday.
So,
how many of you started doing Bug Bash stuff? Okay, at least one. Have you done anything?
I haven't yet.
Okay. As soon as you're done,
you still have time.
You're done doing whatever you're doing this evening. You are now tasked with homework to go Bug Bash. So hopefully that's going well for y'all. All the quests should be up. Obviously, feedback's super important, so we can go through and check out the stuff that's popped up in the past few builds, anything that's going on right now. But the big question that I've already seen a couple times in the chat is, why haven't we released the build this week? Well, let's just put it like this. How much detail should I give? Just all of it?
Just repeat what I tweeted.
Okay, Brandon, tell them.
We hit a bug where anyone running a non-ENUS base build or any language that's non-US English installed would not be able to log into their PC. And so naturally logging into your PC is important, so we felt that we needed to block for that. So we did.
Yeah.
So
and it was easier to just not release the build as opposed to trying to set up compat blocks to prevent anybody who wasn't running ENUS.
Which would have been a huge chunk of our insiders, so we just decided.
There's a lot of people that run the US English build. There's way more people that don't run it. So when you start comparing the two, it wasn't worth pushing a build up. So I'm just as frustrated as you are, right? It's always nice to start the Bug Bash with a new build. It's a lot of fun to get going that way. I will say that a bunch of code check-ins have happened this week. That particular bug has already been fixed and is working its way up through testing internally in the Canary and Selfo screens. So it is my personal hope that we can have you all a new build at the very beginning of next week. Because as with the Bug Bash starting yesterday, there's just this short weekend, and then hopefully beginning of next week through the end of the Bug Bash, we'll have something new to go out and check out and give feedback on and run all the quests and whatnot. So if you haven't run the quests, okay, you can run them, or if you want to wait for the new build, you can wait till Tuesday. Fingers crossed, I don't know, we'll see. Can't commit to a date yet, but I know that we're pushing hard to try to get one out because of all the stuff that has come in. Given that there's certain milestones we've hit internally that we would love to get feedback on. Good stuff?
Yep.
Good stuff. Okay.
We probably should introduce Mr. Josh.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, come here.
No, you need
No.
Yeah. Sorry, man.
You get to come
You can't.
take the hot seat for a moment.
Okay.
So Josh has been on, this is Josh, he's another Microsoft employee. You were on a webcast before, right?
I was.
Which one?
You won a round and just wanted to describe like what being a PM at Microsoft was like.
That was right. That's the release management webcast that we did in January of this
Yes.
year. How I remember that, I have no idea. Because I cannot remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. Like, actually, I do have McDonald's. But
We did have McDonald's.
we did have McDonald's. It wasn't very good either. But quick reminder, tell people who you are, what you do.
Josh Salyers. I am a PM for basically insider experiences and a lot of the back-end architecture for getting flights out the door, targeting those store insiders, and making sure they get up to date on the latest builds.
Yeah, if Josh doesn't do his job, you're not getting built.
Yes.
It's really that simple. Because engineering and all those teams, they can check in their code, get the builds built, and we can talk about the builds once they're out. But if Josh isn't kind of like the Oreo cream filling in the middle, you're not getting a build because they're not going to get delivered anywhere.
I'd say if the devs didn't do their job, then
Well,
we're
you
not
know,
getting the
you know.
builds. Even though I pushed the button.
It's a whole team effort, right? It's
Yes.
a team effort. You get to come say hi too.
Sounds good.
Pop you out of seat. Brandon's running off and hiding in the corner. Apparently he wants to take a picture. I know we brought it like a crazy crew. And so Josh normally wouldn't have done this, right? But as a side tangent, and I'm sorry to drag you over here and then tangent for a minute, but
all good.
This is how I work. This is how my brain functions. Hopefully everybody out there has heard of the Insider Dev Tour that we're doing, where we're going around visiting cities all around both the U.S. as well as international countries. Some of them are direct hosted by Microsoft employees. Some of them have been hosted by MVPs in the various different regions. We did one 2 days ago here in Boston. Andreas, one of the MVPs, helped put it together at the Microsoft Technology Center. So we came and visited, had a good time. Josh was here part of that, and then you're going next to Toronto
And then to Dublin.
Dublin. This is like to do the fun stuff.
Yep.
As if this isn't fun, right? So he gets to take some international legs after this. The tour runs through the end of June, so we'll be wrapping that up here pretty quick. We've been all over the planet, right? There's been China, Malaysia, Singapore, obviously Ireland's coming up, Toronto and Canada is done. The one in Johannesburg, South Africa just wrapped up. London was on the list, Moscow. There was one, I don't even know what city, there was one in Israel done somewhere. There was, I think, 2 in Germany. There's more that I consider trying. There was 3 different cities in India that were done. Like, we've been all over the place, it's crazy. There was one in Sydney, Australia too, right? I think so. Anyway.
It's just in Sydney. I should have went to that.
Yeah, you totally should have. But that part aside, now that I've kind of finished tangenting here, Jessica, do some quick introduction.
Sure. Hi everyone, my name is Jessica Tran and I am a user researcher at Microsoft. I look at anything that's running Windows 10. I'm trying to understand your experience. I'm here today to understand the Windows Insider experience. So that's what I do.
So we get to come and talk and have fun and whatnot, and then she gets to do some of the cool stuff on the back end. It tells us, are we doing the right things? Are insiders happy with the program? Do you like what we're doing? What should we be doing differently? Because if I ask you, you're either going to tell me you hate it or you love it, right? I don't really get a lot of the in-between. But she gets to ask way more nuanced questions to kind of puzzle and piece things together. That makes me trying to figure out some of the concerns that everybody has a little easier. right? Rather than me just being like, hey, no, everything's okay, or no, everything's terrible.
Right. Yep. So basically, I just want to hear how your experience is going, and then I'll be able to help communicate it out to the team as well.
Yep.
Yep.
So, and this is one of the interesting things about the program. There's a ton of people that work behind the scenes that insiders don't necessarily get to see. But just part of what we try to do with some of the webcasts is have teams on that you don't normally talk to, so you can get some of the concept of what we're actually doing, where it's not just taco hats and webcasts and us dropping new builds every week or every other week or whatnot. There's a whole lot that really goes into this, and we're really proud of being able to partner with all the other teams to help vet this all together. So just out of curiosity, because I don't think I've ever asked you this question, how did you start at Microsoft? Like, what was your history? How did you get here?
Oh yeah, sure. So I am now 2 years into Microsoft. I graduated from the University of Washington. I'm an electrical engineer by trade. I went out into industry. I was working at a different company on the East Coast in New York, but I really missed the technology side of things, so I went back, and that's what brought me in. Electrical engineering, did research. I have a PhD in electrical engineering, so I love to learn why. And so working at Microsoft, I don't know, it's just, something along the journey. Everyone has a journey along the way. And so I love doing research, talking to people, want to understand and make things better, so that's why I'm here.
So I should have been calling you doctor this entire time, and I never knew.
That's all right, see?
See?
You never know.
I'm going to start calling you doc now. I have to. It's like required.
You can.
What about you, Josh?
How did I start at Microsoft?
Yeah, like what's your history?
Sorry, I was reading chat because they're talking about fast and slow rings, and I had caught my eyes, and I was hoping Brandon was responding in some sort of way.
And I did.
And he did.
Okay.
So I actually went to school really close to Microsoft campus, and I went to school for video game development. And part of being at that school, we have recruiters that come from Microsoft and say, hey, we want to interview with us. So I ended up interning at Microsoft, and I actually worked on the Windows 8.1 my self-host app.
Okay.
When I was interning there, and when they gave me a full-time offer and I came back, it was like, well, there's no more my self-host app, now we're doing this insider thing and flighting and all this other stuff, so you should just do that now. And so now I do that now.
Well, I'd say you do a pretty good job.
I do. I thank you. My confidence wanes day to day.
Anytime you need a confidence boost, just come
I'll
into my
just swing
office, put on the taco hat, you'll feel better immediately. It's like the cookie in the Matrix,
Oh.
You feel, by the time you finish wearing the taco hat, you feel right as rain.
I'm gonna make sure to knock over your vases next time I come, if we're going full Matrix references here.
If you start flying, I'm running.
Okay.
Okay? I'm done. I'm done.
Still leave a mint spoon on this.
You will not be. All you have to do is take the spoons from the break room, stick them in hot liquid for like 30 seconds, and then they just, because they're compostable spoons, so hot liquids are no match for them. They literally go Matrix. They just kind of fold over. It's great. So real quick, a question that pops up in here about fast and slow. It's something that's come up a few times in the past weeks. It's come up several times this particular week, so I'm just going to hit it head on, right? Why have we not dropped a build to the slow ring for RS5 so far? It's a super good question, and it's a bit of a sore point for us internally. Just being very candid and honest about it, like I always am. We want to, but the quality bar hasn't been hit. It's not like there are a long string of bad bugs that, we're looking at trying to fix 20 or 30 different things that would prevent us from going to slow. But it seems to be this very short tail of, hey, there's one bad bug in this build, okay, it gets fixed. There's another bad bug in the next build, okay, we're working to get it fixed. And so back at Build, one of the things that we talked about was the concept of servicing, where we would take and say, hey, regardless of the bad bugs in this build, we're going to take it and drop it into a servicing branch. We're going to fix those specific bugs, spin a good build that's now clean and doesn't have those particular bugs, and take that and deliver it out into the slow. It's not something that we've done in past releases, RS1, RS2, or not. If you go way back to like Threshold 1, I know I'm talking back like 2015, early 2015 here. We did it a couple times back in that time frame, but it was super time and resource intensive to do it. So we got to the point where we were just spinning builds and trying to come up with clean builds, and we've been relatively successful. RS4 proved a bit more challenging. There was only one or two builds, Brandon, if I'm remembering right, that got released during RS5 until endgame, and it was just one after another. Yeah. And then here we are, a third, halfway somewhere. I'm saying we're 40% of the way through RS5, and there is no new build available for slow yet. And it really goes back to what I mentioned a minute ago about us one bug after another bug after another bug. And even if the most recent bug where we even blocked fast, right? Say we hadn't caused that bug until it was in fast, that absolutely would have been a slow ring block. So again, it would have been another single bug that would have been stopping. So to the point that I wanted to make about servicing, we have been pulling builds over into the branch where we'll do slow ring servicing. But in doing so, because of some of the architectural changes we've made on our side, it's helped us find things that we need to change when it comes to the concept of servicing. So the more changes that we make to the OS, the more changes that we make to our internal processes, it's highlighting other things that we need to make changes to as well. It's kind of like this whole waterfall effect. And so, whereas normally we would have been able to drop a build slow if it's been serviced by now, there was some servicing process things that we needed to take care of, and we're actively working on those. Plow through them as quickly as possible. And I know that there is a build sitting in the servicing branch that, fingers crossed, everybody cross your fingers with me, we are hoping to deliver soon. I'm just going to use my air quotes because everybody knows it's one of my favorite things to do, so it's soon. I really hope that sooner than later we'll be able to drop that build out to you, so you'll get your first slow ring build. We can get some ISOs put out, because that's something we get done about a lot. And it's in a good way, right? Users want to have that, that method of installing and then recovery and whatnot. And it's obviously very important. So it's one of the things somebody brought their dog to the store, and Ninja Cat is out there fighting it. It needs more taco. Anyway, so fingers crossed we get that taken care of, dropped out soon enough. And then anybody who's in the slow ring can kind of get caught up, get all the gloriousness of RS5 that we have put together so far, without some of the bugs that we've hit along the way in past.
Yeah, it's someone that owns the whole servicing piece that we're doing.
Yep.
We're finding bugs and we're fixing bugs, and from my perspective, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy that we're doing this and we're trying things and we're finding stuff and fixing it, because normally we'd be waiting until we were about to go out the door to the world to even be trying to do any sort of testing. So I realized from an insider perspective, it sucks that we haven't gotten anything out to slow, but this new process that we're trying to do has been immensely useful in actually finding issues that we have in our servicing and publishing pipeline super early. So it's been great to... It'd be great if there were no bugs, obviously, but I'd much rather be finding them now than a few weeks before release.
Okay, I'm just checking chat real quick to see if there's any other questions that popped up that I need to.
I saw a lot about release preview. Did that go anywhere, Brandon?
I'm going to look into it.
Okay.
Yeah, release preview should be getting builds before they hit on what we'll just lovingly call Patch Tuesdays. RP should be getting those. The use of RP has changed a little bit over the course of time, where we don't have as much direct control over it as we did back in TH1 and TH2. The servicing team, takes control. They took control of the release preview ring, but you should still be getting those ahead of time. You got to test and check the updates, get a feel for them before they actually drop on those Tuesdays. And if something's not happening there, we need to kind of dig back in and get a hold of that. So we absolutely will. A/B testing with sets.
We do that just because we need to understand how the workflows for people have changed on the same builds, and so that's not really going to change. Sorry to hear that you're having some issues with it running on a low spec machine, but that's the kind of feedback we kind of need to see. So that unfortunately is the A/B testing isn't changing anytime soon.
Yeah. Like that feedback is exactly why we need to do A/B testing, right? Because if you have lower performant devices or machines with older hardware, some people have the new features, some people don't. and then we get to see the performance impact on similar machines that kind of have it and don't have it. Compare the two sets of data to say, hey, is this something that we need to refine for this type of hardware? Is this something we shouldn't deliver to this type of hardware? It kind of gives us that gauge. And if we just threw it out to everybody and then we're trying to scale backwards, nobody wants to get something and then have it taken away from them because it's just not fun. So that's one of the core reasons for some of the A/B testing, not to mention just all the general statistical stuff that happens in the background, with experience and telemetry and all that kind of stuff. So is it an optimal experience as an end user? Not necessarily. But it's important for us to do it the way that we are doing it to make sure that the results don't get skewed and that we can put together a proper assessment of what's actually taking place so that we can make future assessments and determinations on what we should. And I love the World Cup updates. Thank you. Since I don't get to watch it since we're doing this is fun.
And then to answer your question, 13 Paul 13, if you reinstall a build, do a clean install, and you had sets and you lost it, that's expected. Unfortunately, sets is based on the device and installation that you have, so you run the risk of losing when you do that. Unfortunately, that looks like what you just hit. So.
Yeah, and even when you do a clean install, the whole trigger for sets to drop over onto your machine doesn't happen immediately. It can take 2-3 days for that to actually flip, and then the actual feature to get kind of backloaded, and all of a sudden it pops up on your machine and it's ready to go.
But they're not doing that. They turn that off.
So it's just turned off.
It's just off.
Okay, so yeah, you're just not going to get it. That was something I did not know. All right, see, I'm getting educated in real time as well. All right. I think I've tackled all the questions that were in there.
So far.
I see any plans to have phone integration with iPhone.
I answered that.
You answered that?
Okay, good.
Nothing here to announce on that. So.
Yeah, happy to answer. So, I want to ask some of the insider tier questions. Right. Are you ready for the 30 seconds of internet fame?
Yep, you're going to be on the web.
You with the mouthful of pizza, you're first. I'm totally kidding. I'm kidding. May I have a seat?
Hello.
You were not expecting this, were you?
No, I was not.
I'm Jason.
Brian.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Are you an insider?
I am.
How long have you been in the insider program?
Since like 4 years.
Did you register on day one? Were you one of those people?
I was one of those people. Yeah.
Okay. There's nothing wrong, man. Hey, you're in the same boat. It's all good. Why did you become an insider?
Well, I've always been. I've been trying the beta builds. I've been always cutting edge, and this was a definitely great way to get involved with the whole development process, get my feedback, and just feel like I actually was contributing to something bigger. So it's a bigger part of a community. So it was just something that I wanted to do because you can only really improve the product if you're getting feedback from people who are actually using it on a day-to-day basis.
Yep. So I'm assuming you submit feedback?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a few random questions. Jessica, this is some informal survey data. You ready?
Oh.
Number 1, did you know we do webcasts?
Yes.
Okay, good. Number 2, do you know we do monthly podcasts as well?
Yes.
Do you listen to them?
I do not.
Okay, at least you know about it. Okay.
Yes.
Do you know that we drop blog posts every time we do a build release?
Yes.
Okay. Do you read them?
I do.
Okay. Do you follow us on Twitter?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you know we have an answers forum where we do technical troubleshooting, Q&A type stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
I haven't yet needed to use it just yet.
Okay.
So that's a good thing.
Okay. Am I missing anything? Okay, so here's This is the bad thing about I know. Yeah. Do you use feedback?
Yes.
Yeah. And do you actually submit feedback?
I do.
Have you ever run a quest?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I haven't done anything.
You know we have badges in there, right?
Yes.
This may seem silly for all you out there that are the big super fans, right? But I love catching people randomly. And this is the bad thing because this is not formalized survey data, Jessica. Jessica's going to kill me because I'm not going to ask everybody the same question in the same way when you need to structure it that way for it to be statistically relevant. Here, sorry. Close enough, right?
You're telling them to go and see. It's fine.
Yeah. Are there any other methods of communicating with us regarding the Insider program that you would like to see us use that we don't use well enough, or you know it exists but you don't care about it?
I would love more of these types of events.
Okay.
Where even if it isn't something formally, even just if it's the insiders getting together,
Okay.
so it's something to get together and talk about things, and we can bounce ideas off of people. I think that's something that is a little bit missing.
Okay.
The one-on-one with the average Joe.
Okay.
That's something that I think could be improved upon.
Okay. What would be the proper cadence for that?
I would say
Once a
probably
quarter?
Once a
Couple
quarter.
times a year?
Yeah, a couple times a year, once a quarter.
Okay. You don't want it to be every week, right?
Okay.
I got better things to do.
Yeah.
So do you. I can't travel that much down on the fire. We have travel. All right. So why did you come here today?
Because you never come to Boston, so I'm
This
like,
is actually,
oh my god.
This is my personally in life, regardless of work. This is my first ever trip to Boston.
Well,
I've
welcome.
never been here before.
Welcome.
So, did you have any questions that you came here today that you wanted to get answered? Did you get to put me on the spot in front of everybody watching and everybody out here?
I'm not going to do that.
Really? No, come on.
I have no questions ever.
I don't
When's-
believe
when's-
it. He's got to have some.
No, I'm one of the. I still have a Windows phone.
Yeah.
Get some more love for the Windows Phone base. I know it's like we're dwindling, but we're still out there.
Not really a question, more of a statement.
It was more of a
okay.
statement.
It's been
I
been
don't want
duly
to.
noted.
I don't want to have a leading question like when we're gonna actually get any releases.
All right. Well, thanks for letting me put you on the spot.
No
man.
problem.
I appreciate it. Nice to have met
Anytime.
you. All right. Told you I was going to put you on camera. Come on, man. Hot seat. Hot seat.
I warmed it up for you.
Thank you.
More like lukewarm seat, medium warm seat.
See you.
That's one.
Jason,
Jeff,
good to meet you.
as well.
Why are you here today?
Pretty much the same reasons he just gave, kind of to see what it's all about. It's the first time you guys are coming to Boston, so I had to represent this. I had to give you reasons to come back, basically.
All right. So I got to try to remember all the questions I asked you now.
Yeah, because we have
to
a lot of
ask
the
him.
same answers.
So I know we talked before we started doing the webcast. Some
Yep.
of the folks were here and was asking questions and whatnot. So I know why you joined the Insider program. Okay, I've got some of that information stored up in here. But you've used Feedback Hub before.
Yep.
Have you ever run a quest?
I have.
I know you are chatty on Twitter. You've tweeted back and forth.
And in the chat here.
Yes, and in the chat. Answers forum. You ever use the answers
I
forum?
have, yep.
Okay. Are there any things that we are using socially, platforms, plugins, things that you wish we would be participating in, things that we're on that you particularly don't go there? Like, what are we doing? What do we need to do differently? That's
I'm a big Twitter guy. I mean, that's primarily where you guys run.
Okay.
No problems there. I love that you guys are streaming on Mixer. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. But I've kind of made that switch in the last couple of weeks since E3 to Mixer. So I think you're kind of covering all the big bases.
So obviously we do Webcast. Did
Yep.
you know we do a monthly podcast? It's completely separate from anything on the web.
I
Like
did.
this.
I had never listened to it until this morning, actually.
Oh!
I had to be brought up to date.
Really?
Yeah.
Which episode did you listen to?
The most recent one was it May 30th episode,
Okay.
I want to say.
Yep.
And only about 15, 20 minutes ago.
Okay. So you got a good start into it.
Yeah.
See, that's one of the things that, from the Insider Survey, I should have asked you, when we sent out the Insider Survey, the big one, back in the end of January, I
Yep.
think, did you do it? Did you do it?
I did, yep.
Yes. Okay, good. All right, perfect. Because one of the things that came back out of the survey was not nearly enough people knew that we did webcasts and podcasts. So I'm trying to figure out ways to help evangelize that a bit
Sure.
more, right? Because the people that engage in those particular activities seem to really like it, which is why we keep doing it, right? Nobody wants to listen to us or see us or anything, so we're not gonna find the ways to spend the time differently. So that was one big learning block for me. And the other one was, and this is why I asked this gentleman earlier about, he's like way into his machine. I asked him about getting feedback and responses, and we've submitted feedback and we closed the loop. That was one of the other things we heard a lot of chat about was, hey, when it comes time to drop something in, did you ever get a response that says, we've done something with it, we fixed your bug, we're listening to you, hey, we need more data. This is some kind of return interaction, so that it doesn't feel like you just kind of toss it over the wall and that's the end of things, and then who knows what happens after that. So that's one of the things that not only obviously we work with Josh and his team a lot to get builds out, but there's the entire separate team. When we did a webcast on the Feedback Hub, right? They're doing a lot of connected work to make sure that we close the loop, that things get parented properly, all that kind of stuff. And it's stuff that I harp on pretty much every webcast, so I don't want to belabor the point. But it really is important to us. But
I think it goes hand in hand though with us wanting to make an impact on Windows.
Yeah.
Getting that feedback, like you said, they kind of go together.
okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing.
Okay.
What is one burning question that you have that you do not have an answer to that you want to put me on the spot?
I know you can't answer it, so I was just going to basically ask the same question you were going to ask. I can't really think of anything else, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So
Sure.
I didn't really come here with questions. I came here just to, for the community.
Okay. Say hi and hang out a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the burning question?
There is no burning.
It's the unspoken.
It's the unspoken. Yeah. There's this whole unspoken thing. We shall not speak of it. That is why it is unspoken, sir.
Someone spoke it once.
I will speak it afterwards.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad you stopped by.
Yeah, likewise.
It's
Thanks for
nice to
having me.
actually get to
Definitely.
hand to hand, get to meet you in person.
Definitely. Yeah, instead of me just tweeting pictures of beer to you all the time.
I'm not that I'm against that, right? I mean, going out, having dinner, getting a good beer, or sitting on the deck. And I'm just thinking about, not too long ago I was replacing fence boards and I'm sitting outside. And
He loves his deck.
I'm having flashbacks to work
Loves
from
his
the house.
deck.
So.
It's nice. It's definitely nice. You'll be home soon enough, right?
Yeah, trust me, there's house projects waiting for me as soon as I get back.
There you
Sunday
go.
afternoon, be shop, get back to finishing painting.
No rest, yeah.
Man.
Perfect.
Thanks for popping on
Hey,
camera.
thanks for
Appreciate it,
having me
man.
on camera.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Who's next? Pizza Guy? That's your new nickname, by the way, is Pizza Guy.
I'm Pizza Guy. Hey there.
So who are you, Pizza Guy? I'm Jason.
My name's Eddie. Nice to meet you, Jason.
Likewise. Why'd you show up today?
I don't know. I saw just on Twitter that there was a thing going on in Boston.
Yeah?
I'm here visiting my girlfriend, and
Hi, girlfriend.
she's Pizza Girl.
Oh, Pizza Gal. Nice.
And just we're on a study break right now. Thought we'd stop by, say hi.
Fantastic. Are you an insider?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. How long you been in the program?
I don't know, years.
Okay. This is not a scientific survey. Oh, it's semi-science? Is this even semi-scientific? Not really, no? Focus group, yeah, okay. That's awesome. Yeah, wrap it up. Focus group. So, I'm going to ask you the same kind of round of questions, right?
Sure.
Did you know we do webcasts?
Nope.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't know we did
do a monthly
webcasts either.
podcast?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Have you listened to one of them before? It's okay to say no. I'm not trying to embarrass you or anything.
I have, in my life, I haven't even listened to one podcast.
Okay, so fair point. Fair point. All right. Not your medium of communication. Perfect. Feedback Hub. You ever submitted feedback?
Yes.
Perfect. Did you ever run a quest?
I have not.
Okay. Did you know that there are quests in the feedback hub?
I think so.
Okay. All right.
What is it that? Why haven't you done? It's just something that.
I don't know. Like I get into builds, and I just go to work.
So you just do your thing. And,
Yeah, I just do my thing. I'm not.
And there is an entire
There's value. There's a huge amount of
there's an
value.
entire subset of insiders that just use the builds, right? There's a group of insiders who've never once submitted a piece of feedback, ever. And it's not like they haven't opened the feedback hub because there's announcements in there. They've seen some requests, they've looked at feedback, but they've never actually submitted or uploaded. But that doesn't stop them from being good insiders. I mean, don't be wrong. I wish they would submit feedback, right? I wish everybody submitted feedback. But
Just say hi.
yeah, right? But just using the OS, right? So we get an idea of what's broken. We're getting some of the crash dumps, some of the telemetry that comes back is like, hey, this is working, or this isn't working, or this is taking too long, right? Even if we're not getting direct feedback on things, like kind of like verbatim from folks, right? Just some of the data that comes in and gets aggregated to say, okay, half the people can't launch this app or whatever, or this app's crashing too much, right? Just that data in aggregate, right? Which is not specific, like I don't know like what you specifically have done, right?
Yeah.
It gets grossly aggregated. Like that's super duper helpful. So don't feel bad. Like I mean, if you decide to use the feedback hub and submit a lot of feedback and run all the quests, total love for you. Right?
I will do it more often.
No. I am not trying to change your behavior. People should interact with the program in whatever method they feel is proper for them.
You're totally right. I mean, I love getting feedback from my app, so I mean, I love hearing all about it.
All right, so you're the first person to mention that you have an app. So you're a dev, you code.
Yes.
Pitch your app. What you got?
Hey, where's the camera?
Camera is right here. Microphone is right there, just so we can hear everybody.
Hey,
as long as it's not
everyone.
adult content.
No.
Okay. Sorry, I gotta throw that out there.
Hey everyone, I made ProShot for Windows, and I don't know, it's a cool app. Check it out.
Is it in the
You're
Microsoft
awesome.
Store?
Yes.
Beautiful.
It's been around since Windows Phone, since Windows Phone 8.
I have used ProShot and it's freaking awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Uh-oh. What?
It's an awesome app.
Thank you.
So thank you
Have you
for.
submitted feedback to the developer, sir?
I have not had any issues with it to submit.
Yes.
I mean, it works as advertised for me. I mean, I know
Okay.
others may have issues, but I love it.
Glad to hear it. Thank you.
We're trying to get some
It's hidden behind his head.
There we go.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Oh, the actual application? Yeah. Can I totally borrow your phone for a moment? I promise I won't do anything inappropriate with it. Here we go. Here we go.
Take a selfie.
Hold on. I'm waiting for the thing to catch up. Here we go. It's done. Okay, this is awesome. So, quick snapshot on the phone of the application as we go. A little about this from the inside. This is beautiful.
Thank you to everyone who's helped make my life a dream. I get to do this and hang out in Boston. I love it. Thank you.
So you are not, if I understood you correctly, Pizza Gal lives in Boston. You do not live in Boston.
No, I live in LA.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Let us talk about doing a long distance thing.
Only 1 month.
Oh, okay. Right.
hasn't gone crazy too yet.
Okay. Well, all right. So
You live in LA?
we were just there, but we didn't do a store thing there.
No, we didn't. We should have. But are you just here for vacation or?
Just hanging out. Yeah.
Hey, man.
Because of ProShot, I get to work for myself. Thank you. I love you all. And so I get to come visit my girlfriend and have a good life. So
That's awesome, man. So say I'm gonna open the same door. Hey, since I asked you all the questions, did I miss any questions?
I wasn't keeping track, to be honest.
One burning question.
Yeah, you get to put me on the spot, ask me one completely random question, and I promise you, if I can answer it, I will.
if you could be any city, which city would you be?
Ooh. Oh man, not my hometown. There are 3 things that happen in my hometown, all of which I do not want. Talk about questions I was not prepared for. Wow. See, now I know how y'all felt when I was like, hey, what question did you have? We're like, I don't even have a question. And I get asked a question, I'm like, I don't have an answer.
Nashua.
No.
I want to be Nashua, New Hampshire, because I'm trees.
Nashua is the only city in the country that has triangular manhole covers.
That is.
I'm proud to be born there.
Did you get a photo of this?
I did not.
Man, you should have told me that. So nothing that you knew that we went there. What city would I be?
Someone suggests
Is
Fargo.
Is it cities that I've been to, or just anywhere in general?
You can pick any city you want. I'd have to know why, though.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you a city that I've been to, just so I can give you an honest because I don't want to be like, oh, I want to be like, some random city I've never been to, because then I'd be making like random assumptions of hoping it would be something. So I'm gonna give you an answer out of cities that I've been to, and it would be Barcelona.
Ooh, that's a great city.
The city is super laid back.
Yes.
You can sleep late, nobody's gonna judge you. You get to eat whenever you want, and it's really not a big deal. The climate is very chill and laid back, right? But there are moments of excitement and you go to like the discotheque on like a Friday night, right?
Yeah.
And this is one of the really
At
cool
1 a.m.
things.
is
Is
like
like,
when it opens.
yeah, it's like the stores, they close for siesta or whatever, and they open back up, and all of a sudden at like 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. they close for like an hour, and next thing you know, it's like, it's like the hotel I stayed at, right? There's a little clothing shop across the street. I was like, oh, that's cool, walking up and down. And then at like 1:30 in the morning, I'm like in my hotel room, like, what is that? And I go open the window, and it's just like people piled in there. All the clothes rack have been like hidden in closets and stuff. There's like a little disco ball hanging from the ceiling, like rave lights and stuff, and everybody's just like drinking and dancing and stuff. And I was like, well, all right, and, like 2 businesses for the price of 1, and then I found out that's like a normal thing. Like there's a bunch of stores that do that. So there's this very distinct dichotomy between this just like laid back, casual lifestyle where people are just going through, doing their daily thing, and then there's that side where you get to unplug, have fun, you know, whatever, and then it just like the next day it's just like rinse and repeat. You just kind of do your thing day in and day out.
A happy life.
Yeah,
That's a good answer.
you know, I don't know. Well, you're living the happy life, man. You got an awesome app. People are hooking you up with money. You get to come travel and see. Man, what city would you be?
Oh my God. You'd be inside me then.
Wow, this took an interesting turn.
And that's when I got fired.
Oh, I'm so sorry. This is on the internet. Oh. City I'd be. I used to live in Hong Kong, and that was the coolest city for me. Just people are up at all hours of the day. Every shop is open. Things are happening really fast. I felt really inspired in Hong Kong to do a lot of creative work. I just loved how fast-paced the lifestyle was. The food was amazing, and people were always just working really hard there. And I really admired the work ethic, and they also knew how to have fun. So, really hard work life, really good fun life, and just an amazing part of the world.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, man, I'm glad you are here.
Thank you.
I'm glad you made the trip up. Thank you for giving him a reason to make the trip up. I do appreciate that.
I do have feedback on your app, by the way.
Uh-oh.
On Android, when I turned it,
What happened?
It didn't rotate.
it's just not right. It's not rotating.
Is it?
So you do that,
Real-time troubleshooting of it.
and then when you do that, it doesn't rotate.
It just rotated.
No, because he's
Oh, the viewfinder's upside down.
Yeah.
Hey, that didn't happen.
Yeah. So
I'll work on that.
I will look at
Thank
you if
you.
you chat. All right. Well, hey,
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Awesome.
Have a great day.
Thanks for stopping in. All right, so I don't have a cool nickname for you, but you get to come on the now probably more than lukewarm seat for a moment.
episode 2.
Alright, I'm just going to announce beforehand, I am a Windows outsider. I'm making it new. This is a new thing.
Okay,
How's it going?
fantastic. I'm Jason.
I'm Alex.
Nice to meet you, Alex. So, not an insider.
Absolutely not yet.
Not yet. Okay, I like the word "yet" on the end of that. Did you know the insider program was a thing before your friend drugged you here today?
Nope.
Not a clue.
Not a clue.
Do you use Windows 10?
I do.
Okay, that's a plus.
Azure is awesome, by the way.
Do you use Azure for work?
I do.
What do you do for a living?
I work for I do support, which is half UI, UX, half customer success, for a growth stage company called Concentric. We deploy a software called Concentric Marketing.
Okay.
And it can forecast human behavior and solve essentially any decision you need to make in the business environment.
So the Windows Insider program, lovingly just shortened down to the WIT program.
Yeah.
If you didn't, and well, you obviously don't participate in the Insider program right now. So I was going to ask you if you knew about WIT for Business, but I'm just going to tell you, there is a WIT for Business program. That is kind of.
Thank you for telling me about this.
Yes. I'm going to educate you live and on camera. Which it is focused for businesses, big, small, doesn't matter the size, to take preview builds, which are the same as we all run, right? They're building exactly the same. But it gives you the ability to deploy it in a small, concentrated section of your environment. AAD, domain, all that kind of stuff, right? Domain join, whatnot. You get to check your own feedback from people inside your organization. You get to keep that private and whatnot. Like, there's all kinds of cool little plug-in ways to do that. But obviously the biggest benefit is, especially with running specific software and things you're deploying to customers, hopefully some of your customers are running Windows 10, is if you get to take and check out those builds ahead of time, you get to identify any potential quirks, we'll call them. Okay. So you get to check it out ahead of time, and then hopefully find those and see what's going on. So, I feel like I'm selling the program, but it's actually
Give us feedback to fix them.
yes. that whole thing. Just find the bugs and don't know anything about them. No, but I mean, obviously that's kind of the other pillar is to, whether it's something internally that's something you can fix with software you have for changes that are coming, right? You kind of have that look ahead of the curve, or if it's a bug with something that's on our side, obviously, yell at us, be like, hey, we got some feedback, and hopefully we'll get your bug fixed sooner rather than later.
Sounds great.
Right? So you're gonna sign up, right?
I mean, sure.
You don't have to do it right this second, right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to put you that, I'm putting you on the spot without putting you on the spot.
Are we really on the spot then? That's the question. Kind of.
So I'm going to do the same thing, right? What is one question you have? Obviously, it may not be specific to the Insider program. What is one question related to Microsoft that you may have that you want to answer to? Given we're going really big here, if I can answer it, I will. If I can't, I will take action for homework and try to get you an answer.
All right.
Do you have something? You better be thinking of your question, and if you got a question, he's already like, oh yeah, I got it. Good.
I'm gonna steal here. Sorry. All right, Neil or Rita, that person, not too sure who they are, asked about Cortana.
Okay.
What's up with Cortana?
Yeah. What is it?
Not a lot's been happening. Are you guys planning any?
So, so that's where this shirt came from. It's Cortana Ranger. It's important. We did a webcast on. So this is where I get to tell you about. So you've heard we do podcasts, we do webcasts, all this kind of fun stuff, right? We've created a YouTube channel. I'll be uploading all the historical webcasts there, so you can listen to the audio, watch the video, all that kind of stuff. This is what's funny is just for everybody. I've been talking about doing these uploads for a while. We're actually getting them closed caption for accessibility purposes, which is the reason that it's taken a while to do this. Setting aside the videos, getting budget, going through the whole back-end process. So those are coming back. I have the first batch of them back, and I need to upload them. So I will advertise the YouTube channel where they're all going to be. That is forthcoming very, very quickly. But back to that point, we did a webcast for Cortana in March, where I think since you haven't seen it, I would point you there first because I think a lot of the questions that you would potentially have would be answered there. Neil Rita, I know that.
I mean, really, it's that person's question. I'm going to be completely straight here.
Yeah. No, it's totally fine. So I don't know. I'm assuming Neil Rita's already seen the webcast because.
I'm assuming so too, because this person looks like they're in the Insider program.
Yes. I mean, it has been for quite some time. I recognize the name.
Okay.
So, just like was announced with some of the other Microsoft orgs, during all of that shuffle, the org that Cortana was in went through a reorg. Part of their team ended up in one place, part of the team ended up in another place, related to AI and all of that kind of fun stuff, which obviously Cortana relies on heavily. Some of the other part of it was related to the shell team, so some of how it gets integrated into the OS, how it searches for things internally inside the OS itself, applications that are on the machine, things like that. So after having gone through some of that, there was some shuffling and whatnot. There's just some details I'm not going to go into on camera, but. You will see more coming from that space as we continue development. It's Cortana is here; she's not going anywhere. It may seem like we're in a bit of a lull, but that doesn't mean there's not awesome things happening behind the scenes that just haven't popped out in the forefront. Hopefully that answers your question. Or Neil Rita's question.
I assume so.
Cortana is.
There we go. Yeah.
That's seriously where these shirts came from. It was a thing. People were asking questions to the Cortana team that they couldn't necessarily answer at that point in time. Because they're very tight-lipped about potentially future-facing work. And so every time somebody asked them a question, they'd be like, "It's important to us." And so then Frogosaurus here, took the wording, threw it inside the Cortana logo, made a logo, and I'm like, I'm totally having shirts made of that, and thus these shirts were born. We gave out a ton of those at Build. Yeah, it was super fun. So. Well, I'm glad you got drug along here today. Thanks for popping by. Hopefully, we'll see you in the Insider program soon. And,
tell me where to go.
Insider.windows.com, or you can register directly through your computer. Go to pop open Windows 10, go to settings, go to update, and in the bottom left, you will see Windows Insider program. You can do it right there on your machine. You don't even have to go to the website to do it.
All right, sure. I'll do it right now. Use it on my Surface 3.
There you go.
There you go.
Thanks, man.
Pleasure.
All right.
Get up here.
Hey, an Insiders for Good shirt. That's right, because we were talking beforehand. You were here for the Boston Hackathon.
Yep, it feels like a while ago, but yeah, it was a good day.
I'm Jason.
Will.
Will, nice to meet you. So you are an insider.
Yep.
Did you know we do webcasts?
I know that you guys do webcasts, forum, Twitter. You guys are available almost anywhere I can leave.
Okay. Tell me something we're doing good or doing well, whatever the proper grammar term is.
Literally communication.
Okay.
Really, that's
That's that guy right there.
I noticed that like, there's a lot of just organizations in general, programs, developers, etc., that don't do communication really well. And to see Microsoft doing that really well with Windows and Xbox and also its properties is awesome.
Something that we're not doing so well.
I mean, updates have gotten better.
Okay.
Updates used to be at the bane of everyone's existence, but now they've gotten me to the point where, okay, this is manageable. This is, there's a flow to it. There's, you guys have been packaging updates together where it's like, okay, I only have to update, I only have to trigger the update, and then it's just going to grab everything. I don't have to wait for 5 hours for a brand new computer to go through all of its paces. It just gets done a lot faster.
Okay.
That's not going to give you like something you're doing terrible, like it needs to be fixed, but like Alex stole Cortana search indexing is it's gotten progressively worse over the last few builds, which is something that I was perplexed about. Things usually don't get worse, they only get better. But like as a sysadmin, I'll typically use Cortana to I'll use it to go try to find some setting that usually takes me about 5 or 6 clicks to get to. But with search, I can usually just get to it just by typing in its name.
Auto-fill.
About half of my typical search has disappeared.
Interesting.
Where it's like I actually have to type out almost the entire name, and even then it takes her like 5 seconds to actually.
So what it seems to be, if I'm interpreting this right, some of the processing times of how quickly it would interpret what you're typing versus it resolving potential solutions is kind of stretching longer and longer and longer.
Yeah, and it even used to do that. It used to feel like she was learning, so it used to be like local. Oh, you want local users and groups?
Okay.
Done. And I'm like, and so it would like autocomplete that on the LO because I've searched it so many times.
Okay.
But now it's just like I type out the entire thing and then she takes.
It's almost like part of the functionality is gone, at least the way I'm hearing this right, so that it doesn't trigger based upon your past actions any longer. That it's almost doing like a native clean search every time you try to type.
It feels like that, yeah.
Okay. I don't know if that's the case, but that is really, really good feedback. And so
when we get back on Monday,
yeah.
we have contacts. We're gonna.
Yeah, I mean, especially from having done the Cortana webcast, right? I know a ton of folks on the team. So, but as a starting point, this is my favorite question: have you filed feedback?
See, I have not. What I usually do with Windows is I will look, well, not just with Windows, but just about anything, Windows, Xbox, iPhone, I'll look to see if other people have submitted feedback on this issue. And like if you go onto Google and you type in or even on Twitter and whatnot, Cortana search indexing, you'll find very recent posts that people are like, Cortana search indexing has gone down, recently, and so when I see that, I'm like, okay, there's enough people that have actually put in the time and effort to make a good post as to here's how it's gone down for me, and I'm like, okay, I see that Microsoft should be aware of the issue, and that, it seems to me like any more effort that I put in to submitting that would be just kind of
like duplicative or whatnot.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
Did you at least upvote something?
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. On Reddit, I'll be like, yes, upvote.
Did you upvote in the feedback hub?
I haven't actually gone in the feedback hub.
Josh is double checking me in the background.
One of those things where you assume everyone else is doing it, so you don't do it.
Yeah, and that's one of the.
I at least try to check a lot of the time.
All right. So I'm gonna give you your moment of burning question. What do you got? Since you got robbed, you totally got robbed.
He totally robbed me, and I think you answered my other thing earlier about how control panel has gone through so many iterations, and it's just like, all right, I think that this is a question that a lot of people have, I guess. Is there an end in sight for that?
I do not know the full roadmap. The team that is responsible for the migration as you see it, at least on the front end and the UI perspective, is the shell team.
I can add some context too.
Okay. I know that as we move things, we've documented them in insider builds, and it's one of the things that's been discussed. It's one of the things that from RS3 to RS4, so I'm rewinding a little bit here, right? We got some questions from just standard, retail users, right? Not even insiders of, hey, I don't know where this went. It used to be here and one place to the other. And so we took that as a very important feedback note. So when we more broadly made the release of RS4, and then now obviously going into RS5, right? Anything that gets moved will be better documented in that regard. Because if somebody's going to the control panel to make some sort of a change, it's obviously, they know that it's there. It's something that they've probably done before, something like that. And it's one of the things that we need to have better notes on. So that is definitely forthcoming. It's something that the shell team is very focused on. Like I said, they own the visual piece of seeing the interaction and going one place.
I do have to say that the search and control panel is like, so if I'm going into control, if I know I'm going into something that's probably in control panel, I'm not going to use Cortana for it anymore. I'll use Cortana to open the control panel,
and then search in there.
And I'll search in there because it usually, I feel like it's because it's a more narrow search.
Because it's searching within itself rather than the whole OS.
It comes up with what I want almost instantly, so it's nice.
So that correlates and supports some of the feedback you get earlier.
The setting, and in terms of when they're going to be completely done with the migration from old control panel into new settings, it's not really as much as a timeline per se as there are certain things that they need to do with a lot of dependencies in the OS. Those have to be done first in order to make those moves.
Because control panel is such
Correct.
a big...
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's like almost like a checkbox, and so some various teams are working very hard to enable the teams to move that stuff over. But it's just checkbox after checkbox.
Yeah, I mean it's in sound, it's in mouse, it's everywhere. So.
In RS5, we moved the sound control panel has moved into the settings app. So that was a big change that we announced a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, because I know on my non-insider build computer, whenever I want to go change the old-fashioned audio settings menu,
Correct.
recording and playback, I go into the control panel, click on the additional options,
Yep.
and then it pops up.
That's been moved. You should check that out in your VM. So we're at 3:14, so we're over.
Oh snap!
So I don't know if you want to
Yeah, I need to talk to Daniel.
bring him over and then.
Hey, I'm not trying to rush off.
No problem.
We will obviously once we're done with the webcast, I will come and we will chat some more and whatnot. But thank you for letting me put you on the hot seat.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize how long we've been going. Daniel's over here in the corner, like,
Oh, hey, it's not my day.
All right.
So for some of you out there in Mixerland, this is probably a familiar face. And if you haven't, it's about to become a familiar face.
Who are you guys again? What is an insider program?
Oh, this little thing,
Inside?
You didn't listen to my conversation?
No, on Twitter. Yeah.
So who are you? What do you do?
Oh, yeah. Executive editor, Windows Central. Live here. You're in my hometown.
Uh-oh.
Actually, not really. I live in Worcester. The woo.
Worcester?
Well, hope you guys are having a wicked good time.
Please don't get Jason started.
Yes.
please.
So it's just completely
It's
funny
more
thing.
like Minnesotan, but
it is not a Boston accent at all. It's just hilarious. And so we were driving around, and Brandon's like half butchering town names, and I'm correcting him, and then I'm trying to do it with the Boston accent, which is I got accused of being Sean Connery this morning.
yep.
Part Australian, right? Apparently, I'm now Minnesotan too, which I didn't even know.
Into Fargo.
I didn't even know I could pull that off.
I can see it.
Dracula, there's a bit of Dracula in there.
Sure.
Sure.
You never drop the A's. That's it's a very lazy accent. We don't like. It's just a lazy thing.
So obviously, Daniel, you've been in this industry for how long? How long have you been in the tech industry?
2008, 2009 is when we started dubbing experts. And so, but I go back even back before PDA Phone Home, PPC Geeks with XDA, and we used to do Dell apps and stuff with the Pocket PCs. So
Wow.
that's when I really got my start.
I'd say you've been in the tech hood for a bit.
Yeah, long time. Yeah. With the phone, now the PC and everything else. And so now we're in this new stage. I'm really excited about computing. It's like all those things.
So I don't need to ask you the litany of questions I've asked everybody else.
You can ask me some.
Okay, well, did you know we do webcasts?
I do. Are they regularly scheduled though?
Yeah, every month. Yeah. They're not like the same. So like, I know, the fine folks at Windows Central, I know y'all do a Friday one,
Right.
same time every week, unless Zach doesn't have internet.
Yeah. I think we've got that.
Ours tends to be, a lot of it is scheduling the timing with the other teams. Right, so it's not hey, every third Friday of every month is going to be, whatnot. Like, it's not
That's
quite
the
that
problem.
regimented.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, with like, even with podcasts and everything, shows, all that, people expect a regular time, and that's probably the easiest way.
See, I'm learning something. This is
Yeah.
something I didn't,
Yeah, it's a whole industry thing. When people can focus on a regular time and tune in for that, it helps with getting that keeping an audience and coming back every single time.
Yeah.
People then can bet on it. But
And they know when
it's-
to expect it and just
Right.
kind of mark that.
But it's hard. You guys got the big teams and everything like that, so
No,
it
and-
is hurting cast.
But that doesn't mean that I can't try it more.
Yeah.
Because like most of our webcasts have always been Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Right. We tried some on the weekends. Right.
So-
we tried them in the mornings and the evenings.
The benefit of this, if you go to plug Victor.com Windows Central, we actually put our schedule up for our podcast.
Yeah.
And so people can just tune in. Like, so if you drop out on Wednesday and saw it, you would say, oh, Fridays they record at 2:30 p.m. live. When to come back, it's always there. It's like, and then they can go watch the old shows, of course. All that stuff though really helps retaining and getting back people on a regular basis.
Yeah. It was nice on Mixer that because people were complaining like, they know the webcast was coming, but we wouldn't be live, but it would be auto playing the last one.
Right.
And I had to go and figure out, I've talked to the team and it was
I
like,
saw
oh
that.
yeah, we
Yep.
implemented this setting where you can turn that off, and I was like, oh really?
Yep.
So we put up just kind of the bland placeholder of like, hey, this is where you can talk to us and whatnot. But putting the schedule up,
Putting the schedule up, that'll help a lot. Blast out the tweets every couple, every 12 hours, so you get the different time zones of people.
Okay. See, this is why we talk between one another in the industry.
Right.
We learn from stuff like this. Awesome. So you're a Windows Insider. I know this.
Sure.
I will just tell you, right? But I do want to ask you a specific question. So, taking what you do for a living out of it, right?
Yeah.
Because I know obviously it's a very core piece. It involves obviously a lot of professional life, of course, but it spills over a lot into what I presume to be your personal life, just all the tech you have hanging around the house and how you spend your free time and whatnot. If you weren't doing what you do for a living, right? So you're not writing articles and you're not doing your podcasts and whatnot. Just from a personal perspective, would you be in the Insider program, and why would you be there?
So I think the biggest reason, and you know this, why people join the Insider program is they want early access for new features and to see stuff, and that's the majority of people, and that's fine, right? Because even then you're collecting telemetry and things have failed, so it helps out. That second part, though, what you guys are really after is the feedback, which is so much harder, right? Because it's now the person has to take that extra step, and it feels almost like kind of like a homework thing where they have to, launch an app and leave feedback. And you guys make it easy enough to do. And there's nice little pop-ups. I'll be using my computer, and a little window pops up. Hey, how was that experience? And you can just check it off. Although I think because that model works, but it's also the same model for notifications in the rest of our lives, so that we get overwhelmed. I don't have really answers here for this stuff because I think it's very difficult for getting people to submit, feedback. You always have that small group which hardcore, dedicated, will do it. And then it's like, how do you make that bigger and easier? Knocking down those barriers, I think, is a huge challenge just for human behavior and trying to figure out what's too much, what's too little, what would be the good mechanism for doing this. I don't know. If I weren't doing this professionally, I would be on the Insider program. I would be using it for the new features. And I would probably only report feedback, like most people, when something goes really wrong or really bothers me. And that's helpful, but it also skews things because I'm not also telling you, oh, that new thing you guys did, I actually really like that. So, and that's tough to sort of balance that out.
It's really good feedback. he's got, I'm sitting here listening to him and I'm thinking as he's talking, I'm like, yeah, well, okay. Like I'm making a list of things that I need to go do some homework on. Things that I need to. I don't know which one. Oh, hey, in the back of the room. Are you eating pizza? I totally want to eat pizza right now.
So good pizza.
I'm still smelling the Domino's in the background. Don't worry, I'll have some over.
I kind of want to taco for some reason.
The belly can wait. Knowing how much you know about Microsoft and knowing how much you know about the Insider program, you're going to have a different. You have a deeper perspective than a lot of other people do. So I'm going to ask you the same question that I've asked everybody else so far. What is something that within the program, what's something we're doing right?
Well, definitely the interaction on Twitter, the feedback, the personal experience there, the ability to reach out to people and get responses on stuff. Even if it's, the same question asked over and over again, but that ability to directly talk to the people who are involved with that program, you respond often, when people bug you, when's the next build coming? Like, you get a response. It might not be the answer you want, but it's still a response. And I think that's a huge thing. It's one of the biggest problems in companies is talking to a real human and getting that and putting a face on it. One thing I think Microsoft's done right over the last probably 5 years, it really started with Nokia when they started doing their PR stuff, is putting this human face on it. It's like, oh, these are the actual people that do this work. That makes it a lot easier because I think we all know it's easy to be kind of a jerk and rude in these situations when it's not perceived as being a human. I mean, this is old psychology, right? Even some of the terrible stuff you guys get on Twitter, they would never say that to your face. It's because of that medium, right, on Twitter, that people feel like they could just be like, well, I'm just going to say whatever I want. And they're anonymous, you're not, right? So there's that asymmetrical relationship there. But
that stuff does suck. I mean, try not to take it personally, but like...
Yeah, it gets day after day, it's a little tiring.
It can be frustrating sometimes.
Yeah. But
let's be honest.
But there's no other real model right there for that. I think you guys are doing a good job managing that without losing your tempers. Like I'm pretty famous for snapping at people hilariously. I think it's funny, but whatever. You guys don't have that luxury of doing that. So that's one area I think you guys do a really good job on. It's just that interaction and feedback. Even using Mixer and doing these sort of broadcasts, being able to take that moment to pause and be like, hey, let's just sit around and chat and answer questions. I think is helpful to flesh out.
So the converse, right?
Yeah.
What's something constructive about the Insider program that we need to look at or do differently or just whatever?
So it's always a balance of information. How much is too much? How much is too little, right? Okay. So like a lot of times when there's like a show-stopping bug, right, and you can't put it out there.
This time we did.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those things where, but even just besides that, like for change logs, and change logs are hard because you guys don't directly control change logs all the time. Sure. Like you're not in the engineering teams. So you have to rely on those people to document everything, to pass it on to you, and then post it.
Or we have to know about it and go bug them and then document it.
Sure, yeah. And as someone who, I'm on the alpha test for Outlook, which I probably shouldn't be for Android. I see, though, the daily updates and the change logs, and sometimes you get what you ask for and you don't want. When you see on an alpha the change log every day, it's like this long half the time. It's stuff you just don't know what it means, But trying to find that balance, you are dealing with an audience who skews from, I just want new stuff, to I'm an engineer, I'm a developer, give me all that information. And so trying to find that load and that balance of change logs, what's new, what's different. But I think it's gotten pretty good. Like when you guys do a major update now, you do have that nice long bullet list. And basically that's what people
stick out right there.
Yeah, and people want that, right? All those little details. I have time I'll go through, it'll be like number 9, I'll be, that's my problem, and so I'll see that fixed. I'll be like, oh, that's awesome. So, as far as how to improve that, and just in general, I don't know. For some people, there's never going to be enough communication on this. There's never going to be enough transparency. And that's something to be able to you have to kind of feel out the
It's a tricky balance. But.
Yeah. And
I will say, from the transparency perspective, right? I mean, that word, it doesn't trigger me, right? But it always sends a note to me, right? It's like, if you rewind 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, let's just say especially 5 years and beyond, what we used to talk about as a company, the things that we discuss openly or publicly, or what we would tell people, hey, this isn't doing what we expected it to do. Like, this is just broken, right? There used to just be a, hey, we're looking into it. Would be kind of a, like, almost like a generic response for everything.
One thing I would also suggest that I think people would benefit from is just seeing, if you guys could ever do a tour or talk to the engineers and stuff like that about the process of what goes into making, like for instance, the control panel settings discussion.
Okay.
I hear this all the time. I kind of fundamentally understand it. What you guys are doing is you're taking old school Win32 stuff and converting it to the UWP system, build and make it the more modern settings. I get it. It doesn't bother me at all, actually. The last build, you put more mouse settings into the control panel. Like, you see it happening, right? Every build. But the question a lot of people have is, A, why are there both? Which there's a good reason for it, which is there's old code and there's new code. Sometimes for at least one build, sometimes you want to mirror them, so you have that people, they know it exists there. But what is the actual, like, what's happening there with that? Like, you talked about the shell team, you know, they got to get the code ready, then they got to get it'd be cool just to get concrete examples of the work that actually goes into that, so people understand that it's like, the reason why you haven't, you know, brought something over from control panel to settings isn't because like, oh, you forgot, or oh, fine, we'll just click a box, because you guys are unplugging a lot of stuff from the old system, and you have to rewrite it, then plug into the new system and test it. Like, it's actually a lot of work. Seeing at least an example of some of that work, it just could be like a textbook classic example one time, I think would at least allow people to see, okay, why does this stuff take so long? Because,
like, the behind the scenes, like when we did we were talking about this before we actually did the webcast, like some of the update stuff when we did the update webcast on, hey, this is the state of things, it's going to change in the future, but this is why you go through some of these steps, and this is why it is how it is.
Because people want to know that, and they can kind of handle. I think at least this group can. I would say.
I've added that as a note. I can work on that.
Yeah.
I can actually give you.
We could do. I mean, seriously, we could do an entire. Jen, I'm not trying to sign you up for work.
Yeah.
Nudge, nudge. But I mean, we could do an entire webcast on the show, of which this would be a core component of some of that work that's being done.
Could be.
I was gonna say, I mean, the Surface team does this often, right? They'll show that on Instagram, a quick B-roll of like behind the scenes of what it takes even to put that mirror label into the Surface. It's all polished and it's lasers, and it's like when you see that, you're like, oh, okay, this is. Oh, you start to understand why Surfaces are considered to be what they are, right? Why they're so expensive and like the precision that's in there. Getting just to see that, where none of us are. I'm not a mechanical engineer, you know. I don't know any of that stuff, but it's cool to see it, and someone goes, "This is really different." So I would say, just showing people behind the scenes and how that stuff kind of works, just a classic example. I think a lot of people will be like, at least start to understand, like, oh, this is hard work. You guys are dealing with 20-year-old code. I mean, it's just funny. It's like kind of if I had to go reprogram an appliance from 20 years ago, I have to go find the manual. like you forget things. Like, how do you guys have code that's so old? Like, who has the instruction book and manages in that and knows where everything? It's very, I don't know. I think it's kind of insane. You guys have this operating system that's this old yet this new. That's constant, and you guys are changing it in front of us. Like, you're building a new OS while we're using this older OS. And that's kind of a crazy thing that I think people just don't appreciate.
It's like driving on the freeway while it's under construction, right?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, and that's why those shows do well, right? On Discovery Channel, where they show you like people behind the scenes, like how it's made.
Yeah.
Like, how it's made is an amazing show, because it's like they take the most banal thing and it's like, you're like, whoa, I didn't realize that much work goes into it. As consumers, technically they don't need to know this. They shouldn't have to, right?
Yeah.
But I think you guys are already letting them in the door. You're like, this is the Insider program. Let's see how it's done. And so I would go that way.
But I will say we have gotten a lot of leniency. And even now, like, I mean, the tide is shifting so that rather than us feeling like, hey, we're potentially pushing a boundary with some of the stuff we want to talk about and show people, like, it's like, hey, as long as there's still boundaries, right?
Sure.
There's always going to be boundaries, but like, we get a ton of leeway in, hey, we want to do this, we want to talk about this, we want to show this. And some of the teams that would normally put up some, like, what I'll just call bowling bumpers, right? They've been very they've been very willing to let us like kind of flip back the curtains and say, hey, this is some of what's going on here. And it's been really great, both getting the interactions with the teams and kind of drawing them into the forefront so they get some face time with folks, right? Both to talk about things they want to, announce and, hey, this is what's coming next. As well as, all right, so these are some of the people that are working on some of the products and some of the features that, you as users and not just specifically, as insiders, right, get to talk about and see and use and interact with, so that there's not so much, even though it's mostly unintentional, like a lot of that veiled mystery of, well, I just don't know who and what and stuff just happens, right? It's gotta make it a little more obvious, a little more open. And I will say this, right? Donna, don't fire me. Like, until I finally get my hand slapped, which hopefully never happens, I intend to keep doing it because, number one, I like it. I love interacting with teams. I love having these types of conversations. And I love getting to show people the things that people that work on the engineering teams often are like behind the limelight, right? They're not out in the forefront. Right. So letting them take that stage, even if it's just for an hour or 30 minutes or whatever on a webcast, and get some of that face time, be like, hey, I am proud of what I work on. I spend a third of my life coming to Microsoft working on this feature, hoping that literally hundreds of millions of people around the planet that are using this feature get excited about it and want to use it. And it's to use the control panel, right? The control panel isn't the fanciest thing or the most sexy feature of Windows, right? But it's something that's core to the OS, and there is functionality there that people have been using for 20 plus years, right? That it's vital, right? So being able to tell some of that story, like I really appreciate the feedback because it is definitely something we should go and talk about a little more.
Yeah, I think featuring like even just understanding how the teams are organized, and like who does what it takes to even change an icon, right? Like no, like I mean I know how like I can just right click on one and all that, but what goes into even programming that stuff and making it happen? Because like none of us really know it. I think it's cool for us who are on the insider program to sort of see how it's made, right? And just to I think that would extend that whole empathy thing, which I'm a huge fan of. I know Nadella talks about it, but I've been pushing this for a long time. Just you see how the teams actually work, what everything's involved. You start to appreciate it a little bit more. And some people made that a little bit from just do it. You always hear that. That's fantastic. Brandon's done.
Brandon's had a. Brandon has not had. I'm not insidery thing for a minute. Brandon has had a rough couple of hotel experiences as of late. When we were in LA 3 weeks ago for E3, we go check in. It was Pride weekend in LA, right? Big celebration. He looks out his window because he hears a bunch of
noise.
We'll generically call it noise. Giant party at the pool, people drinking, having a good time. Techno bumping through the wall or whatever. And of course, Brandon is right above the pool. Brandon likes his relaxation, quiet time or whatnot. I'm on the complete opposite end of the hotel. Like I can't hear a peep. I don't even hear birds chirping outside. So
nice.
Nothing.
What is LA?
Yeah. And then apparently now that we're in Dallas, I'm sorry. Wow. See, I'm even getting confused where we're at. Now that we're in Boston, I'm gonna get smacked by everybody sitting in this room.
Like the band at the concert. Thank you, where are we going?
There will be no more webcasts in the future because I'm gonna go get buried out with concrete.
Boston, hello.
I know, right? Did I do it again?
Probably.
Anyway, now that we're in Boston, apparently there was some ruckus outside his hotel door last night in the hallway. The police arrived.
No kidding.
He didn't get enough sleep. Like I don't know what it is about Brandon and hotels, but
Then just start using earplugs.
he's having a rough go of it, man.
I could be totally murdered in my sleep. With earplugs, and I just go right out. I don't care.
I'm sure it'll be fine tonight.
We'll get you home soon enough. You can get some sleep.
Sounds good.
Thanks for making the trip out, man.
Yeah,
like
just a Saturday for me.
Well, I'm glad we're in your neighborhood and it wasn't too difficult to get out there.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see you guys out here more. We should do these more often. I agree. Maybe once a year, have you guys come out.
Yeah.
Maybe bring some Windows Central meetup.
Yeah, we'll definitely want to come back out.
Well, thanks again, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
So it's 3:35.
Oh God. Okay. So
Probably should.
we've got some more chatting and stuff we need to do here. We did the same thing when I'm actually saying the correct city while we were in Frisco, because so Hayden doesn't yell at me. We did the same thing where we got on camera and we ended up just talking for hours and hours.
We did.
So we're gonna wrap up here. Thank you for everybody who let me put you on camera. There's some folks I didn't get to talk to specifically, but obviously I'm going to be here longer. I would like to talk to you, so forgive me for not actually like throwing you on camera or whatnot. Hopefully, you learned a thing or two. It's nice actually getting used for this glad handing and meeting people and talking to real people in person. It's one thing to meet somebody on Twitter or troubleshoot something on the forum. It's a completely different scenario to actually get to talk to people face to face. Any parting bits, Josh?
No, Boston's been awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got to come on.
If you're in Toronto, you'll see me.
If you're in Toronto or Dublin?
Yeah. Toronto on Monday?
Toronto is on Monday.
And then Dublin is later next week?
He'll be there.
I've been in Dublin for a while because I'm going to go have some fun before the event.
Vacation?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, man, I don't blame
I
you.
want to say Dublin's the 29th.
Okay. All right. So if you happen to be in Toronto or Dublin, you get to hang out with Josh.
Yeah.
Any parting words, Brandon?
No.
All right.
It's been awesome.
Hey, Doc, you got anything? You can't see her on camera, but now that I have to call Mr. I have to call her doctor. It's appropriate. I'm telling you, I had no idea. And you don't even go out like broadcasting it. Like it's something to be proud of. Like, freaking awesome.
Thank you.
Like,
All good. Thank you.
any parting words?
It's all good. Keep submitting your feedback. It's really important.
Right, I meant to say that too.
Yeah. I'm gonna skip my feedback rant. We've talked enough about it. But all right. And then next week is our actual Bug Bash webcast on Wednesday. What is the date?
The 27th.
The 27th. Yes, Wednesday, the 27th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So make your adjustments for whatever time zone you're in. We'll be back at it. We'll have a few special guests. We'll be talking about bugs and quests and hopefully new builds, etc., etc. So tune in next week and we'll be back at it. So until then, take care. Thank you for tuning in and happy insider.